All right, here we are in week 3, part 2. We are looking at volume of a cylinder. Here is your cover sheet. And once again, it is due at the end of this week. That due date of 5/7 is if you are actually turning in your completed packet. So that would be next week. So there was less contact time with other people. Okay. Here is your checklist right here. Read and complete the introduction. Copy notes or put the notes into your notebook. Study the notes and step by step. Complete the assignments 2 again. And do challenge problem if you would like. Multiplication and division table are also included. And here's our introduction. Volume of a cylinder. We all remember, I hope, how to find the volume of a prism. We'll use the same formula, which is volume equals base times height for the cylinder. The only difference is that the shape of the base changes, and therefore so does B, which represents the area of the base. Okay, so since the base of a prism is a rectangle and the base of a cylinder is a circle, B, which is base, changes from length times width, which is the area of a square or rectangle, to pi r squared. That is the formula for the area of a circle. So what if we have a solid cylinder made of chocolate? Sounds good to me. And then your friend removes a prism-shaped piece from the center. Who has the most chocolate? How many times more does that person have? Okay, so that is our real-life application. Let's see what it looks like here. So here you are here. Volume equals base times height. And so our base now, my phone on silent, our base now is going to be pi r squared. And you'll see that right there, times height. So pi, of course, is 3.14. You'll see right here in the example, it says 3.141. And times r squared. So r would be the radius. Radius is 5 right here. Squared times 6. Okay. Over here, your friend, so that's for the cylinder. And your friend is going to have this rectangular prism. So their volume is base times height, which the base is going to be length times width. So their length is 5. Width is 5. So that gives them 25 times 6. Over here, let's simplify. So we still have our 3.141, which is pi. But then look at this. We also have a 25 times 6. So we have, let's write that out, 3.14 times 25 times 6. Okay, so that's the same as over here. So if I were to do 25 times 6 on my calculator, 150. So your friend, their volume is 150. And for you over here, you still have 3.14 times 150 because you also have the, let's see, erase this arrow here, times 150. So here's what I want to show you. That's where this problem stops because the question is, how many times more does that person have? Or do you have than that person? Well, they have 150 and you have 3.14 times that much. Okay? And here is the answer down here, upside down. That brings us to our notes. They're pretty short. Scroll that down so we're ready. Volume. Volume is the amount of a three-dimensional space an object occupies. It is measured in cubic units. So that cubic lets you know that your label will have that little 3 up in the air. Okay, so I want you to recall the volume of a prism is base times height. And where B is the area of the base. For a cylinder, we still have volume equals base times height. But now, because the base is a circle right here, then that base is going to be pi r squared times height. Okay, so you go ahead and plug in these values. You'll see that right here. And then you solve. Here is our red resource folder, or you can call it a curriculum guide, and it's giving you the formulas for 3 different types of 3-dimensional shapes. We have the cylinder, a cone, and a sphere. So this is one that you can always go back and reference if you need. Okay, so here's a step-by-step guide. It's simply going over what was on that last page. Step 1, use the correct formula. Wise words right there. Cylinder, volume, equals pi r squared times height. Cone, 1/3 base times height. Same thing, the base of a cone is a circle, so you're going to use pi r squared. And for a sphere, 4/3 pi r cubed. Okay. And brings us down to our work. So on number 1, our example, it says, what is the capacity or volume of the cylinder? Round the answer to the 100th place. So that means 2 numbers past the decimal to the right. So I want to point out right here that for our r squared, it is actually not the radius, it's the diameter. Diameter is 2 pi. So with a diameter of 8, that means, or I'm sorry, I did that. 2r. 2r. Oh my goodness. So the diameter is 2r. So with a diameter of 8, that means our radius is 4. Okay, so we have pi r squared times height. Pi, 3.141 times 4 squared times 8. 4 squared is 16. And you solve at 402.05 inches cubed. That cubed is important. That lets us know that it is volume. Squared would just be surface area. Number 2. Okay, so our equation or our formula is volume equals base, which is pi r squared, times height. For here, we have our r is 2 feet. And our height is 1. And in this lesson, we're using pi as 3.141, so we'll continue. Times 4 times 1. I'll use my calculator for this. 3.141 times 4 is 12.564, and our label is feet cubed. Okay, and that was for number 2. Bringing us to the next page. Number 3, right here says, note that since the diameter is 8 centimeters, the radius is 8 divided by 2, or it's 4 centimeters. Now this cylinder is tipped over on its side, so to us it looks like that 16 is length, but we're still considering that the height because we have the circles as our bases. Okay, so let's write our formula. Volume equals base times height. And we will plug in our values. Dotted that. Times 4 squared times 16. And I'll use my calculator. .096. The direction said to round to the nearest hundred. So 0.096 would round to 804.10. That's going to be centimeters cubed. This is number 3. And there it is. There is our answer. Number 4. Kind of dark on my screen, but the radius is 7. Volume equals base, which is pi r squared, times height. We'll plug in our values. 3.141 times r squared times height. Times 49 times 5. Using my calculator. 769.545. The 5 will round this up. We're rounding to the nearest hundredths place. And our label is feet cubed. And here is our answer. Okay, good job. Number 5. We have our formula. Base is pi r squared because it is a circle times height. I see my diameter is 3. That means my radius is 1.5. Pi, we are using 3.141. A lot of times you'll just see it as 3.14. 1.5 squared and times a height of 3 meters. 1.5 squared is 2.25. And we're going to multiply that times 3.141 and times 3 to come up with the answer. 21.201 rounds to 20 meters cubed. And do we have that? Yes, we sure do. Okay, there's the answer to number 5. Okay, number 6. A cylindrical swimming pool has a diameter of 16 feet and a height of 4 feet. About how many gallons of water can the pool contain? Okay, so we have 1 foot cubed is about 7.5 gallons. Okay, so we need to see how much volume the pool can hold first. Okay, so let's do our equation or our formula. Base is pi r squared and then times height. So let's plug in our values. Let's see here. So the diameter right here equals 16 feet, which the radius is half of that. So I know radius has to be 8. So we'll have our pi, 3.141, times our radius squared, times the height of the pool, which is 4 feet. Okay. 8 squared is 64. And let's solve this. So 3.141 times 64 times 4 equals 804.096. So I'm going to round that up 2.10. Oh, those zeros are tough. Okay, and that is feet cubed. But we're not done. That's just how much the pool can hold. So the question is, how many gallons of water? And it lets us know that in every cubic foot, it can hold about 7.5 gallons. So we're going to take this number, 804.1, and we're going to multiply that times 7.5. Okay, and so that equals 6,030.75. Oh, and this one has 0.72. My assumption is that the answer key did not round this to the 0.10, but that's fine. And this is going to be, there's our label, gallons. Let's see here. Gallons, that's it. Because the question was how many gallons can fit into this pool. Okay, so there we go. That's it for the first assignment. Let's move on to the second one. Okay, here we go. This says, write all answers in scientific notation, and it says, see the notes from page 25. So those are in your math folder, page 25 on scientific notation. Hopefully, once you start doing a couple of these, they come back to you quickly, okay? Okay, so number 1, we see 1.5 times 10 to the negative 8th divided by 6 times 10 to the 7th. So what you do is you need to combine the like terms. Okay, so right here, 1.5 and 6 are similar or the same. They are both integers, so we're going to go to 1.5 divided by 6. Then what we do for when we are dividing is you are going to subtract the exponents. So, and this should be over 7. That's missing right there. Well, that's an exponent. Okay, so 1.5 divided by 6 is 0.25 times, we put these here, negative 8 minus 7. So remember, add the opposite. And that ends up being 2. Let's see here, and we want to move this decimal over once because remember, for scientific notation, this first number has to be between 1 and 10. Okay, so bigger than 1, less than 10. Okay, so we're going to make it a 2.5. Since we moved it once to the right, that means we take away 1 up here with the 10. Combine those all, and we are going to have, oh, here it is, right here. Note, rewrite 0.25 in scientific notation, and that gives us the answer, 2.5 times 10 to the negative 16th. Okay, so let's try and do that on our own with number 2. So number 2, we have 6 times 10 to the 4th divided by 3 times 10 to the 4th. Okay, I can already look at this and say, oh, they're going to try and trick us. Can't trick us, we're too smart. Okay, so I'm going to take these two here. 6 divided by 3 times 10 to the 4th minus 4. Okay, so we're dividing, so I know I'm going to subtract the exponents. That gives us 2 times 10 to the 0. Well, any number to the 0 power equals 1. So 10 to the 0 power equals 1. That means we have 2 times 1 equals 2. Answer to number 2 is 2. Okay. Number 3. We have 1.5 times 10 to the negative third divided by 7.5 times 10 squared. Okay, so we have 1.5 divided by 7.5 times 10 to the negative third minus, oh, that's a minus, kind of scribbly, there, minus 2. And of course, we're going to add the opposite on that. So we're going to add a negative 2. So 1.5 divided by 7.5 is 0.2 times 10 to the negative fifth. Well, what I just said is that this number has to be between 1 and 10. So 0.2 is not, it is less than 1. So we need to move this decimal over one place. And in doing that, we're going to add another negative 1. Okay, because we moved it to the right. So now we have 2 times 10 to the negative sixth. And, oh, yippee, there's our answer. Number 4. 4 times 10 to the fourth times 2 times 10 to the sixth. This is multiplication, which means I am going to add the exponents. Okay, so first thing, 4 times 2, easy peasy. That is 8 times 10 to the fourth plus 6. The answer here is 8 times 10 to the 10th. There we go. Moving right along. That was 4, so here is 5. Okay, 5 is 8 times 10 to the third times 2 times 10 to the fourth. Times is easy. All it means is that we're going to add the exponents. 8 times 2 is 16 times 10. Add the exponents. 3 plus 4. So this gives me 16 times 10 to the seventh. But what do you see that's wrong with this? We're not done yet. 16, it's too big. It is bigger than 10, so we need to move the decimal one place to the left. And in doing that, we're going to add 1 over here. And that gives us the answer 1.6 times 10 to the 8th. And there it is. Always makes me happy when I find the answer in that answer key. It's the little things in life, right? Okay. 6 and 7, look at this. Addition and subtraction. You know, when we did these in class, it felt like they were the hardest, but these ones are actually pretty easy. Okay, so let's do number 6. 3 times 10 to the 7th plus 2.4 times 10 to the 7th. Okay, so for addition and subtraction in scientific notation, you have to make sure that the power of 10 is the same. 10 to the 7th, 10 to the 7th, which it is. So all we have to do is add these two numbers. Okay, 3 plus 2.4 equals 5.4. And then we're just simply going to leave 10 to the 7th. Easy, right? And double check. Here is our answer. So easy. Last question, number 7. Okay, number 7 is 9.2 times 10 to the 8th minus 4 times 10 to the 8th. Yippee skippy. Those are the same. I can even write those first. And we're going to go at 9.2. Take away 4 leaves us with 5. Oh, that's a 2. 5.2 times 10 to the 8th. There it is. And we are all finished with this assignment. So I hope that this came back to you, both the volume of a cylinder and scientific notation. It is a review. Hopefully you felt really confident with it. Okay, so as you finish out your week, remember who you are, remember what you stand for, and lead by example. There's my pause. There it is. Bye, guys.